traditional paddle-in big wave surfing has really come a long way, I think, in the last 5 years. When towing came around, a lot of people kind of focused on that, which kind of left paddling into big waves a bit stagnant, I think. And I've always had a passion for that. I think it's really brings all the disciplines together in the ocean that you could have, and really got to dig deep to see this wave coming, hold your ground, and turn around and whip for it.
Is the birthplace of surfing, and I don't know if there's a correlation with the fact that it's where surfing came from, that it's also geographically probably in the best location in the world for waves. I mean, the largest storms in the world are in the northern hemisphere, and Hawaii's sitting in the middle of the Pacific with warm water and trade winds, and so Hawaii is an ideal place for big waves, small waves, just any kind of wave.
There's a purity that goes with catching waves on your own power, and a lot of guys are getting back into that, riding bigger boards, taking them on the head, and trying to get to your feet on your own power. And Piahi's now been ridden a bunch of times by a bunch of guys, and it's getting more and more focus. This winter we've had probably the biggest days of Jaws ever surfed. That day Shane Dorian and Ian Walsh and a bunch of other guys were out. And they stayed out until it was pretty messed up. I mean, it was choppy and windy, and they were still charging, trying to get into them. You gotta give them credit, because that's a scary place to sit in the water.
The men are separated from the boys when guys like those guys are paddling into waves that you should be tow and surfing and were previously thought impossible to paddle into is unbelievable in itself.
Paddling into big waves that nobody else has done before, there's a reason why nobody else has done that. It's because there's some serious consequences involved, and you're looking at a 50-50 chance that it's not going to work out well for you. So you got to be willing to take that abuse and pay the piper to kind of take it to the next level. Those paddle sessions that went down, that was something that we had been talking about and planned and really put some homework into before it happened. So we got this core group of people that are so hungry and have the same vision of just not limiting yourself or where we can take surfing, and it's a group effort. But at the end of the day, of course, we all want to get the biggest wave. We're competitive too, Oh, some of those drops that were made are ridiculous, Boards flying all over the place, and somehow guys are just sticking to them like a gecko.
Once you get an easterly trade that's kind of holding you up into the lip, the drop is sketch. You can see in the video, you get to your feet, you're barely getting to your feet, and the drops are gnarly. It's full on. Those guys are charging.
So you're just trying to keep that board stuck to the face, and it's pretty difficult. This is just the beginning of the snowball. It's going downhill. So I think the main thing about this whole process is just not limiting it, not putting mental limits on what can be done. And it really is going to come down to being in shape and being able to take those chances to push it and deal with the consequences over and over again, and also just having it in you to do it.
when you first go to Pe'ahi as a surfer, I think you're just not used to seeing waves that look like that. You know, you sit there and you see a set come through and you're like, it kind of goes out of your experience. So you see this thing come through and you're like, okay, well, I hope I don't fall on one of those. And when you do, then you probably never experience the kind of tumbling and the kind of beating that you take under the water, or you don't experience the kind of thrill and sensation that you do when you ride a wave on top of the water. So either way, it's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And after riding it over years and years, you still are in awe every time you surf it.
Jaws is a very, very unique place. I've surfed most of the famous big waves around the world, and Jaws just has this velocity to it that's completely different, man. It's got such a punch out there. When the water hits you, it just feels so much heavier. Like, it just has this impact. You know, things will break, things will tear. Your body's not completely built for that. And then you gotta worry about the hold down. You gotta watch out. I have a ton of respect for that place. I've never been under any illusions about what the repercussions of what we do are. You know, I know absolutely that I could die on any one of these waves, really. If you put yourself in that situation enough times, something's bound to go wrong. And that's a risk I'm willing to take to achieve my goals in life and, you know, live life instead of just exist it. That's what it is for me. And I believe, you know, when it's somebody's time to go, it's their time to go. And if I can do it doing what I love, then I wouldn't rather go out any other way. And, you know, we lost a great friend and pretty much the most fearless paddle surfer I've ever known, and that's Sion Malowski. And he was just a great guy all across the board. But you can only respect somebody so much for surfing, you know? I don't care if you've won 20 world titles or whatever. To me, at the end of the day, it's the man you are out of the water. And he was the best father and husband I've ever seen. But the man that Sion was outside of the water is what really separates him from everybody else to me. So going into that Pe'ahi session, it was definitely set up. Ian Walsh set everything up. You know, that's his spot, it's his home, and he kind of made sure that we had water safety in place just in case something goes wrong. What I love about Shane's waves he caught out at Jaws on that last swell is nobody has any excuses anymore. That was a windy day out there, and that was a straight up bomb. Like, if you look at the picture really fast, it's like, oh, that's a solid one that guy towed on, you know? And he paddled into it. So I love it when all those naysayers and all those people that just want to limit you and limit what's going on see stuff like that. It's great. It's like, no excuses anymore, boys. Let's see it.